This is Tyler with Survival Dispatch. Whether it's hunting, prepping, long range shooting, whatever that you're into, we want to ask a few questions on this channel. What kit works the best? What do you need for survival? That type of thing. And today I'm going to do a review on some of these tripods right here behind me. We're talking about what they are, why you need one or don't, and just some basic information about it. So stick with me. While I'm sitting up here, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with tripods. 10, 15 years ago or more, I helped facilitate a level 2 sniper course with a special forces unit. That was my first exposure to tripods. Prior to that, I just thought tripods were for camera gear, like the camera I've got sitting right here. Back then at that course, we had a Manfrotto tripod, much like the one you see right here, with the hog saddle on top. At that course, they had Manfrotto tripods with something called a hog saddle. This is not a hog saddle. This is a field optics research variant of the hog saddle. So we'll cover this piece first. Basically, these flaps right here can switch around. So you either can have a soft pad for your wood stock gun, or you can pop this bottom piece out, just slides right out like that. You've got Picatinny rail and Picatinny attachments. So you can stick an AR in it. You can stick anything with a side Picatinny attachment, whatever you want, or you can just grab it onto a normal gun, and it all fits onto an Arca Swiss base. I see this clamp as a substantial upgrade from the hog saddles that I was first introduced to many, many years ago. Now, when it comes to long range shooting, one of the first things I asked the team guys that were exposing me to this is, why would you use a tripod? The answers, like most common sense answers, were supremely common sense. Everyone thinks snipers or long range shooting, they're laying in the grass or they're prone all the time and shooting big distances. But even around here, especially around here, you could probably get away with laying in the grass, but there's certain locations where the grass gets too high, or you're inside of scrub oak and brush that you want to shoot out of without being seen. And in an environment like that, or if you're on an LPOP, which is listening position, observation position, for a big duration of time, it is super nice to have a tripod. I've got a couple different variations that I'm going to go through and talk to you about. So when it comes to application, I have a Desert Tech 308 SRS. This is a Leupold Mark 5 HD. And the way I have this guy set up, scopes here, just a simple Harris bipod. There's nicer bipods, but I can barely afford what I got going on. So this is a bipod that I stole off of my other 308. We got a very simple Picatinny rail on the bottom connected to an Arca Swiss attachment. That again is a field optics research thing that they sell. What I like on this covert, which is one of the shortest SRSs they sell, maybe one of the shortest long range guns out there that I can really think of. For basis of comparison, from here to here is my shoulder width. So it's 4 to 6 inches wider than my shoulders. This is pretty, I dare say this is about as short as a 10-inch SBR AR-15. And then I have a 24-inch barrel in this. Without going down the rabbit hole too far, if you're gonna shoot long range here in the West with higher altitude and less altitude density, you can get away with a shorter barrel. If you're gonna take it back, I don't know, sea level, Georgia, wherever, need a little more length. 21 to 26 is kind of the magic distance there. This is 24-inch barrel. Looks good, it works. So all of that aside, Desert Tech does make an Arca Swiss rail mount on the bottom of their, I want to say it's their SRS A2. It's the longer version. It's not the covert SRS, and it's not what I wanted. So anyway, my goal for this was super tight, super small, super long range. Those are two very competitive goals. You kind of either get one or you get the other. You don't really necessarily get both. I, however, am okay with a 24-inch 308 in a bullpup giving me a gun that's this long. But I still have to keep it stable. You still have the shooter. This gun and this scope can clearly outshoot me. and stability is the key. So that's why we talk about the tripods. Okay, there's a lot of variants of these tripods. I'm just gonna go through each one so you have options. You can do what you want on them. And also you can, one thing that's really kind of nice is I can use my bipod. I can close it, stick it on a ruck or a bag, and I can drop it on the tripod all in the same setup. So it gives me options. With this one, this is basically a camera mount. It's a camera mount that's been repurposed. It's a little bit different. It's not exactly the same. And it's basically been set up for long range shooting. If you look at this, I have beat the crap out of this. I have used this tripod and this setup for maybe 3 to 5 years. Like, I've used this for quite a long time. I'm not exactly sure. I wish I could tell you how long, but it's put in the work. It's done a bunch of time in sandy environments, which, as anyone who's into photography knows, will destroy your equipment. Cold, clearly it's cold right now. So it's a nice little setup. So essentially I'm gonna pop this guy on here. So we're gonna attach right here on the very front. And this is one of the additive differences, is that little screw. And that little screw right there is going to make sure there's no sliding. So when this gun kicks, it's gonna push against this plate and it's gonna keep it from jolting around. In the similar manner, like you want to slide your scope all the way forward, so when your gun comes back, your scope's already forward and you're not gonna lose zero. This keeps it from being sloppy and attaches right there on the front. So with this quality yet slightly older model, you have a little more finite adjustment. You have the large adjuster and the small adjuster, right? And you can just loosen them up. You can use one if you want. I'll usually use the big one in the front because that's more accessible for my left hand. So if I want to get on the gun, also another little note, right here on the left side is a level. So I can tilt it and flatten it out with my left hand. I really like that it's accessible with my left hand. I like the fact that I can get on the scope, right? I've got my right eye where I need to be, and then just basically look with my left eye and say, oh, I'm not level. Tilt it until I'm level, and then get back on the scope. So I'm only going on the up and down axis without jacking up my left and right axis. Now, under 700-800 yards, that's not so much of a big deal. But once you start surpassing that, your round's going up and falling to the left if you're tilted left, or it goes up and falling to the right if you're tilted right. So it's super beneficial to be able to get on the gun, be ready to shoot, and then just look with my left eyeball at my bubble level and figure out where I'm at, then pop back on and be ready to roll. This is actually a great hunting tripod if you're sitting in a location where you're standing on a steep slope. So you can actually loosen this guy up right here and pull that all the way up there. And if you need, you can add more sections in right here and make it even that tall. The reason why that matters is if I'm standing on a hill where the slope in front of me is really low, I can put it down that hill, still have my gun nice and high and ready to go. So it's gonna add 7-8 feet of height to the pole system, but still comes in the same package. That's really nice if you're in sheep country, some really vertical place where you've got to have that extra height. Another note real quick too is that you can twist these off. It's a little cold out here, but you can twist these guys off, and that is the same mount that this head goes on. I can throw the mount on the head, and now I've got a monopod. I can put a grip on it for hiking. Some super modularity there, which is really nice. So this next model, I'm gonna essentially say, kind of went more down the long range hunting path, or the long range shooting path than hunting. Clearly it's still excellent for hunting, but a little more appropriate for long range standing, sitting, and so forth. So on this one, we've got a bubble on the legs. The legs are still detachable so that you can use them in hiking poles, or you can use them as a monopod for running your scope or whatever it is that you need to do. And it's got a release piece here underneath, so this swivel head is really cool. If I take the gun again, Just gonna slide it right on the head, reach up here, and my camera gear is a little looser than my gun, so I have to adjust it just a little bit. Now, what's going on here is I can get on the gun with my right hand, nice and stable, target acquired, and then I can just go righty-tighty, okay, snug it up, and now it's stable. So if I need to engage multiple targets, or I'm running competition or something, I can loosen it up, pick the first target, and I will go a little low, tighten it up, and then pull up a little bit so I have a little bit of resistance. And I can engage the first target. Loosen, I'm on the second target, engage, loosen third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And it looks like small amounts of movements, but it's substantial when you're looking 700, 800 plus yards. So this is a great tripod setup for long distance, quick engagement, for, again, military LPOP, law enforcement LPOP, and the bubble system, again, let's talk about that. So this one's got a bubble on the tripod, tells you where you're at there. It's got a bubble on the front, which is going to be better for canting, okay? Tells me whether I'm right or left, and it's got a center bubble. When I'm doing photography, I really like that center bubble. Also, I can use a combination of the center bubble and the back bubble to see if I'm canted right or left. So this gives me a substantial amount of stability at height to shoot over objects, over tall grass, whatever it is that I need to do, or even just use as a spotting scope for large game acquisition or shooting. Okay, the final iteration or phase of the Field Optics Research Tripod is this guy right here. And they've kind of integrated everything into the head on the top, where you just a slight righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, so this gives you the ability to move, and then tightens it right back up. Slide that guy in there, it's loose, tighten it, and it's tight. The only thing I personally wish they did is put this bubble on the other side. Now, I can get on my right eye, tilt and see the bubble, adjust till I'm level, lock it up, and then get back on. And I get it, because you still have to have clamps and stuff, you still have to make it function. Those are the three main types of tripod that I've been able to borrow from Field Optics Research. These are demo tripods they've given me. But let's talk a little bit about application and how to use them in different environments. Okay, so from a pure standing perspective, I can stand here, I can scope, I can glass, right? I can figure out what I need to shoot at. And right now I got a 100-meter target, 100-yard target, 200, 3, 4, 5, 6, out to 700 yards. And I do want to test the distances on these. Okay, a little bit of movement backwards. This is a very back heavy bullpup. So that's the main part, is standing. The next thing you want to try out is sitting. Now, I personally tend to think this is where tripods excel the most, okay? When it comes to being slightly covert and just sitting and chilling for a big duration of time, your ability to sit down with a heavy ruck behind you is key. Also, being able to quickly adjust this to whatever height that you want, because I'm kind of sitting in a hole, is also key. So I can drop this down, adjust it, get myself level again, and sit where we want to do. Ideally, I wouldn't be laying kind of in a hole like I am right now, but if you're kind of low You've got this much type grass coverage. You can stay below the grass. When you're ready, you know, come up above the grass. I can shoot my current position. I can shoot kneeling. I can sit down here, even put a leg up against it for stability. And again, I like to aim it low, lock a little bit, kind of takes the looseness that's inevitable out of it, and then get back on target. Hit it. So we're able to send a pretty easy 800-meter shot, 800-yard shot in sitting. It's fairly stable. You kind of want to loosen it up, aim it down a bit, tighten it, and then kind of bend yourself into position. And then it just takes all the wobbles completely out of the shot. Okay, the last one I'm going to show you is prone. These tripods can be used in the prone. That's really beneficial for you guys shooting the Lapuas and the 50 cals just up above grass. It'll get you up higher than a bipod and as low as you can be without using a sitting tripod. So let's look at those guys. So with these Field Optics Research tripods, one thing I've really got to hand it to them is their modularity. I can take this tall tripod, unscrew that off of it, grab the smaller one that I want to add it to, just basically throw that in there, righty-tighty, and then in a matter of, what was that, 30 seconds, I just went from the big tripod to the small one. I've got my shooting mat here and I've got my Harris to kind of show you the altitude difference, right? Here is my Harris fully extended, fully locked out, right? And this is a pretty normal, you know, most people are familiar with these type setup. But now if I have a 50 cal or something really heavy, or this gun, I just want to maybe lay prone in the grass or with my elbows up in a position that would be higher than what I can achieve with a bipod or a backpack. I'm just going to add something like this into the equation. So lock that guy down, and now I've got this nice little tripod that just put me up quite a ways, almost too tall for my bench right now. So then I can loosen it up, get a little more extension, right? And now I've got the ability to make it a bit higher. Now if I want more stability, I'll just click it and spread it out even more. Now I have a hyper stable platform that would work excellent for a really, really heavy gun, right? This is very close to the platforms that I've used in the past with like a Modus, a 50 cal, something big. And it's just a really stable bench setup for something like this. So let's look at this in the prone. Okay, to be honest with you, when I first saw this baby tripod, I wasn't impressed. I thought, what are you gonna do with that? I stand corrected. Using this in the backcountry, if you make it taller on this hand grip, you can put a weight on it. I can quite literally bolt this to the ground if I want, if I got something that's jumping heavy. It creates an extremely stable, close to the ground, amazing platform for long range shooting, okay? So let me get here in the snow, get her level again. And I like to lock it, get it level, lock it down a little bit, bend it up just a tad. And I feel real tight, real comfortable, almost double gripped. I've got both elbows on the ground, but I'm up high enough off the snow and the ground that I'm not gonna clip some dirt between me and the target. So I think this is almost a perfect setup for, you know, hitting coyotes at a distance, long range shooting, or an LPOP. Step it out a bit. Got it. Okay, I hope you guys like this review. I am very sold on the Field Optics Research tripods. They're lightweight. They cover multiple functions for me. They're camera holders, they're walking sticks, they're platforms for long range shooting with a ton of options for different setups. With one or two of these tripods, you could have every height from prone, kneeling, sitting, standing, or super sloped terrain. So they are an absolute problem solver and a must if you're prepping. You want standoff distance, you want to get meat, you need to shoot long distances, or even videography, photography. They don't really advertise as that, but I love them as my camera gear. The majority of the time I'm using these tripods for my camera gear just because they're quick adjustable. I can get them level quick, and speed is of the essence when it comes to making videos like this because we got other things to do. All right guys, hopefully that's valuable to you. Check these out at Field Optics Research. I'll leave the link down below. And you have gear or things that you want to see, stick with us, leave those comments down below. Also, what do you think about sniper rifles in bugging out or prepping? Is there a place for them? Is that something that should be in your stable? Leave those comments down below. Thanks for watching.